Good evening everybody, welcome to the Full Council Neighbourhood Plan Full Council meeting for Tuesday the 3rd of April. I'm moving straight away to 17238, apologies for absence please.
Apologies from Councillor Glenn, Councillor Clark, Councillor Fuller and Councillor Peel.
And all of those are due to
Holidays.
holidays. So do we accept apologies?
Yeah.
Is everybody happy that we accept apologies? Right. Okay, moving on to 239, declarations of interests. To receive and consider any declarations of interest from members and officers under section 50 of the Local Government Act 2000, our Standing Order 35. This requirement applies only in respect of matters which are to be considered by the Council at this meeting. 23901, to declare any disclosable pecuniary interests. Anybody? No. 23902, to declare any other interests.
Becoming ever so slightly monotonous. It was on the basis that I was a member of the Platform Neighbourhood Plan Group, I declared that.
I've stopped declaring that I'm a resident of Glapthorne because I don't think there's anything on Glapthorne on this agenda.
I suspect probably not.
So
It's just
on that
good
basis,
if I
I
stop
wasn't on the
doing it.
working party or the, or the council. 23903, to consider any requests for dispensation. No. 23904, to report any gifts or hospitality accepted over the value of £50. No. 23905, to report any inappropriate gifts or hospitality offered. No. Okay. 17240, public participation from interested parties or members of the public. Have we had anything come in? No. Mr. Sturman, did you wish to address the meeting?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
That's saved us 15 minutes. There being nobody wanting to speak for that 15 minutes. Consideration of requests from interested parties, item 241, none of those either. We move on to item 242, neighbourhood plan. 24201, to receive an update on the neighbourhood plan regulation 14 preparations. Now we're starting regulation 14 on the 9th of April. We had a minor scare last week. I'll give you the bad news first and then I'll give you the good news. The minor scare last week was that I'd sent in the SEA, that's the environmental assessment, and the HRA, the habitat regulations assessment stuff, to East Northants for them to check really, and they said that we could enter regulation 14 without having those complete, and that is in fact true. And they sent those off. They were so confident when they looked at what we'd done, they were so confident they sent them off to their consultant to look at as part of the local plan, and also we're sending them off to the Environment Agency and various other places. So that's underway. However, I had an email late last week, just before the bank holiday, from Richard Palmer, one of the planning officers, to say, in the absence of Mike Burton, who normally deals with it, another planning officer, for those who don't know the names, that the HRA was absolutely fine, the habitat stuff was fine, the SEA, the environmental stuff, there was one query there that had come back from their consultants doing their local plan, and that query was that we had given answers as a sort of blanket answer for all 7 housing sites, but we hadn't given specific answers for each of the 7, albeit we'd said that the 7 were all the same, that we had the same answer for each. And the answer is basically that we are more than the 3 or 4 kilometres distance away from anything strategic that would affect an environmental assessment, mainly gravel pits and things in this area. And we're far enough away from those not to be affected, so it seems rather odd that if overall we're 3 to 4 kilometres away, that they then need that specifically written for each of the 7 housing sites. But however they do, so that's the bad news, that just before the bank holiday, I've mentioned this to the clerk, and then I received a phone call on Thursday evening to say Phil Stern, who I'd warned about this, he'd gone to talk to East Northants. They were now confident that things were not too bad. We could still carry on with Regulation 14. They had at one stage thought perhaps we ought to stop it, and I was dreading that. They have got a consultant who's looking at their local plan. That consultant is the one who's thrown up this query. That consultant is now going to be engaged by East Northants to look at, because they'll have to do it as part of the local plan if it's not done in a neighbourhood plan anyway. It will have to be done for that. So they have said they will pick up the tab and do that work, and they will sort the answers out. They've got specialists who can do that at the consultants, and they will do that work, complete it for us, and they expect to do it within the next couple of weeks. So that is running along in parallel with the start of Regulation 14 next week, and hopefully before we're very far into it, we will have that resolved anyway. So that's my main news on progress on the neighbourhood plan. Any comments? Anybody want to add anything?
Not really. I've just popped up the general thing. It's a very broad brush approach, actually, the Regulation 14. You could wander in any direction under that stuff. I picked that up just to so that people could see what Regulation 14 is. It would appear that we comply with most of the requirements.
Yep. And we've now got our, you're going to be looking at it in a minute, we've got our design statement has been updated, and we've got a leaflet to look at on the next item. But yep.
Just one thing, on the, we've set the date for the 16th of April in QBH.
Yes.
What are we going to be doing on that evening?
The format on that evening will be a formal meeting, like the last one we did, where we will have the slideshow, and I'll open with a short presentation of the neighbourhood plan with that slideshow, and then open the floor to questions.
Are we having anything up around the room, or?
We shall need around the room, we shall need all the displays that we've used at all the
Well,
meetings.
okay.
We'll need those around the room, please. Yeah,
Same as we've done before.
yeah. We'll need to put those all around the room. And I thought the question you were going to ask is, do we need to ask the
Well,
developers
that was going to be my other
and
thing.
find out whether they want to
Yeah.
have any presence there, whether they want to display anything, or and I don't know what the general feeling is here on, we can't stop them coming, it's a public meeting, so they can attend, and they can raise any questions they want to raise at the meeting, same as the public can. But it's a question of whether we, as we did at the last one, which caused a little bit of an upset with one particular housing site, if we give them a table at the back of the room and room to spread out their stuff, whether we let them do that again, or whether we prevent that. What's the general feeling around the room?
I don't know, point trying to prevent it, to be honest. Because I mean, I think people really, if they've got information that's available, and the public should be able a chance to see it, really, shouldn't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Would
think
be.
you'll get the public saying, why can't we talk to them, or why can't we see what they've brought?
Exactly.
So it
Yeah.
will only cause problems.
Councillor Chapel.
Well, it wasn't that long ago that we also indicated to developers that they would get the opportunity to participate in something of that nature. So I think it would be unfortunate if we suddenly said, actually, no, you can't.
Yeah,
So I think we should facilitate it,
I agree.
whatever the consequences may be.
I just raise it because we did have that situation with one developer where the public had a look at what they'd got on offer and panicked. I don't think it was as bad as they at first thought, what was being shown to them, but it did cause a bit of upset, and the idea that we'd done some sort of deal with the developer behind the scenes, which hadn't happened either. The whole thing's been very open and transparent for about 3 years now, hasn't it? Yeah, I'm perfectly happy, if you're all happy, that the developers be invited to have a table at the back of the room, and each of them show off what they've got.
You give them enough rope and they'll hang themselves.
The only thing they haven't done, they haven't come back to us. Most of them had promised they would come back to us with some layouts of what they thought the sites might look like from the conversations we've had with each of them in private. We would really be better off if we saw those before they showed them on the night, just so we know what they're going to put on the table. But the more information we've got, the better. So I think even if they do show it on the night, it's better than not. And that's really all I've got on the Regulation 14 preparations, unless anybody else has got. We've got a few more dates still to fix up. We've got to fix this one for the senior citizens, although they seem to have forgotten about that.
Does that include me?
Yeah.
Only if you live in Abbott House, Stronglands, or the one down by the wharf, Maltings. Mr. Sturman.
Would you like to have anything in Valley News for the 16th? I think if we get it tomorrow, I can get something in for you.
Yes, that would be handy if we could get something in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, certainly put,
Oh, yes.
To advertise the fact.
advertise it.
Yeah,
Could you let me have a text?
Yeah.
I think we'll have it.
and I think
It'll be early tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
one key thing is that it's going to be a formal meeting, so it's a get there at 7:30. We did the very first one, we did as a wander in when you like and look around, browse round and go home when you like.
Yeah.
And when we did the formal one, there was a dry run of it a few months back, I think in January, wasn't it? We did the dry run of this format. People were still turning up all the way through the night. So it would be an idea, I think, to make sure they know it starts at 7:30 prompt. That would be important, I think. But
Well,
yeah,
Where would it be held? Would it be held here or?
It's at the Queen Victoria Hall.
It's at the QVH.
yeah, QVH. Because the QVH, we're now starting to get bookings in there. We're now beginning to fill the place up. We couldn't get a Thursday night, could we? In our own hall. So we had to have it on a Monday night. So, congratulations to the team who are getting bookings for all our venues.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't even book my burial plot now.
No, you can't. No. But if Regulation 14 proceeds, followed by Regulation 16, followed by the referendum, you might have a burial plot in the extended cemetery. Any chance you can hang on, Councillor Oakes, until sometime next year.
I'm going to be cremated.
We can accommodate you.
I'll be spreading my ashes everywhere. Well, you will. Well, if I go first.
When is this meeting, if it's not
16th.
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 You say that's a
Monday
Monday?
week.
That's a Monday.
Yes.
Yeah, Monday.
Monday evening. So unless anybody has any further comments about Regulation 14, I'll move on. Fine. 24202, to discuss the recent changes to the neighbourhood plan leaflet and to discuss a door-to-door leaflet drop. I think in your pack you've got a couple of...
Yeah, there was one, well, there was the one that we had that Ian did, but then that one is one that Nadine did some amendments to.
Yeah. She was at the meeting, the last meeting, when we discussed the leaflet and heard the comments, and she's been involved in producing leaflets and catalogues and brochures and things, and said could she offer some assistance, and came up with an alternative draft. So it's really down to you what you think is best and what you want to go with, and also how we go about putting this out. Over to you for comments.
That's this one.
You got the two there. One is Nadine's and one is
Yeah, that's
Ian's.
Yeah, that one is the one that Nadine did.
I mean, the top's clearer in
It's a
my
bit
book.
more punchy.
So
Yeah.
I had to ask when the date was because I couldn't quite kind of
Yeah.
work it out.
I mean, I think the revised one's a bit clearer as well. Yeah, so my vote would be for the revised one as well. I think it's a bit clearer.
You prefer the Nadine's revised
Yeah, I
one?
think
I do.
Huh?
The one thing she did take, she didn't put anything about Regulation 14 in it.
No.
And I know there were a few emails back and forth.
Yeah, there's
about
been
whether-
quite a bit of correspondence
Yeah.
on that point, that Nadine thought it might confuse people talking about Regulation 14 and Regulation 16. People wouldn't know what they were.
Well, I don't hope if it's not on the thing.
No.
I don't think we should talk about Regulation 14. One of the reasons I put it up on the screen is that I thought, you know, what exactly is this Regulation 14? And I wanted to find out.
Yeah.
So I did a bit of digging. And I thought, well, this is a massive, major load of brushwork, really. And as I said to you before, Mayor, I think we've basically covered all the bases in order to comply with it. I don't think we're short on anything, really, from what I can gather. We've obviously got to get a message out, but, you know, the actual process by which how we've got to where we are seems to follow pretty well what Regulation 14 requires of us.
Yeah. So whether we refer to it simply as the public consultation stage,
You could say known as Regulation 14 or something.
could do. Yes.
I think you probably do need to put something in.
Maybe.
For those few
lawful,
people
won't it?
who actually understand that there is a formal part to the process, so that they know this is indeed the formal part,
Yes.
and indeed so that developers can see
Yeah.
very specifically this is the Regulation 14 consultation. And I think that's probably rather more important because of the, I'm tempted to use the words false start that we've already had. Because I think some people might have thought that the consultations that we did in, say, January were part of a Regulation 14 consultation, whereas in fact they were a pre-Regulation 14.
They were way before that.
And you could just, I mean, very easily, where it says from Monday the 9th of April for 6 weeks, etc., you could just put brackets, Regulation 14 consultation, close brackets. I mean, it doesn't need to get complicated, but if the words are in there, I think it might be slightly safer.
So it's sounding like we use Nadine's draft, but with the words, the amendment as proposed by Councillor Chappell, add those words. It covers all
All the bases.
bases there. Is everybody happy with that?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Can we have that as a proposal from somebody that that's what we do? You're going to propose that, Councillor Chappell?
I'll propose it with with my apologies to Councillor Hudley, it wasn't looking to
No,
But actually, I think it's quite nice that a parishioner has actually made the effort to come up with this anyway. So
Yeah.
it's quite good that we can support
Yeah.
it.
Well, people are asking to help. That's great. We've got another one asking to help on neighbourhood plan working group as well. So people are coming forward and wanting to join in at last.
I'll second it.
You'll second it, okay? Those in favour?
I've already got,
I'd already said it.
yeah.
I missed that.
Whereabouts am I going to put it? Because I'm just wondering whether I can give
We're all
this
waving
to...
our
It
hands.
would be a post-plan, brackets regulation 14 consultation.
So put
After-
post plan?
Yeah,
And then put-
brackets, regulation 14 consultation, yeah.
Can I give you something like that, or is that too big?
For tomorrow, I shall have to edit it.
Well, I'll give you that, and then you can edit it.
If you edit it, don't chop out regulation.
Just leave regulations. Do you want
There's
to
a
electronic?
regulation about that, you know.
Do you want to email it?
Yeah, soft if you can.
Okay. So what we need then to discuss is how we get this out to the public and reach everybody, or as many as possible of them. And there are various options. One is a door-to-door leaflet drop, which means we either use the firm that we've used for the Oracle. I don't know what that would cost for a...
Well, it's a couple of £100 to deliver our
Yes.
Oracle. I
Yeah.
would say it's possibly going to be just the same. I
Right.
don't think it's by size. I
No,
think
it's
it's
a
by...
visit, isn't it? Time to time.
Yeah, yeah.
So in that case, we can have one delivered to every house. There's been talk of putting them in various public places, a pile of them in various places where people can find it. It will also be available online so they can download it, and on social media.
I'm happy to chop some of the costs by delivering some of them myself. Because that's what I used to do.
There was a time when the Oracle was delivered by councillors who each,
I've
and you
still-
got all the
I've
routes.
still got all the routes. I've added to them as well.
Yeah.
But I'm quite happy to get on my, my legs and pop a few leaflets through. I think if it's going to sort of reduce the cost, and Duncan can do the rest. If there's
Yeah.
anybody else who wants to have a go, I've got routes and I can tell people exactly where they need to deliver.
Well, if it comes to a problem of delivery, not being able to get a drop from the firm in good time, bearing in mind the 16th, which is the public meeting, is running up fast.
Also,
this
they'll
is-
have to be printed as well.
Yeah,
Well, Inkwell will do that very quickly. They usually do. They're very, very helpful.
yeah. So we need to get them printed and then out before the events start happening, which doesn't give us long. It might be that if our leaflet people can't get something out in that time scale, that we might have to. I don't know how many routes we've got, but I think it was probably about 10 or 12
Yeah.
shared amongst 14 of us.
Yep.
Shared amongst 11 of us now. We've only got 11 in
Well, we had 14 routes originally,
14 routes. Yeah.
but some of them could be merged a little bit. But we've also, though, had an awful lot of other houses being built.
I was just going to say,
It's 145 up the top of my road, which aren't on the original Oracle route, I can tell you. So.
Right. Councillor
Just
Councillor
a point,
Humphreys.
if it is going to press, then can you make sure that you put in that it's available online and all that sort of bit to it, because that's quite important.
Are we going to
The
do
more, because that publication gets out this publication, you see what I mean? If they can get more people looking at it online, it makes it less important that they get onto the letter.
Well, it needs to go on Facebook and probably even Twitter, doesn't it,
But
really?
if it is going to happen, then and it's going to be pressed, then it needs to be said in the press article that it's available online and where to
It
go
does.
for it.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So I think we've got to hit it from all sides. Is everybody happy with that approach, that we we have a leaflet drop, and we'll see if we can get.
Have you got a number of places where you just said you'd like it to, a number of them to be left so people can pick them up? I mean, here for one thing. The doctor's surgery.
From here, the surgery.
Yeah.
We used to do the surgery, the Talbot Hotel,
Talbot.
I've got a whole list of them. The library,
I don't mind taking those round.
Okay.
Various.
Because I know.
I mean, I know Smiths at number 4 used to have a lot of leaflets and things
Smiths at
that
number
people
4,
picked up from there.
the Coffee Tavern.
Yep.
Well, basically, I'll dredge up my old records.
That would be good.
And just circulate them and say this is what we used to do.
That would be good.
How
You know-
quickly will you know whether they can do the leaflet drop or not? I mean, how
Well, that's what I was
fast
going
is
to say.
that?
If you want me to, I'll ring Inkwell, see when they can print it, and I can ring, see when they can deliver it.
And then let us all know if we need to get our
Yeah.
walking boots on.
Yep.
The other thing is, we used to do big leaflet things, which we persuaded the shopkeepers to put in windows.
Yeah.
So, you know, you go up to A3 and do it.
Oh, yeah, they might.
Well, they've got enough.
Inkwell can do A3, but they normally farm it out.
Yeah.
I mean,
It doesn't need to be A3, just
can I also suggest, why don't we actually do some plasticized ones and stick them on some lampposts? I know I'm not very keen on this, but this is rather important.
I'm not sure if that's legal, is
Well,
it?
you see, I have had this discussion in the office
Yeah.
because it is illegal.
It's illegal.
It's
Yeah.
illegal, and you've got to
Fly
take the
posting.
blooming things down
Just
again.
gonna
Yeah.
say.
But I did get
You
told
take
that apparently you're allowed to do it here,
Oh,
so long as they're going to go up for 2 weeks and all that.
Basically,
come down again.
I'm going to say, as long as there's a time limit on it,
But it is.
I think
fly
you're
The
okay.
posting.
problem is
Yeah.
it gives a message to other people to do the
I,
same,
I
Yeah.
just think that
which one I'm against it.
Particularly when it covers a whole month's
Yeah.
period.
It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Otherwise we're going to have them up for quite some time.
yeah.
Yeah.
well, anyway.
We've got lots of notice boards, of course. I mean, they'll go on the
Yeah.
electronic
On the
ones,
town.
the details will go on there of where you can get them. The details of meeting dates can go on the electronic
Yep.
notice boards. The, excuse me, the notice boards, like the one on the end wall here, outside the dance studio, and the one outside the Queen Victoria Hall, and various other places where we've got those static notice boards, the old-fashioned type. We can put stuff in there as well, so that people can see the leaflet.
I'm just basically saying we're using a blunderbuss approach. Let's hit
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
wherever we possibly can.
We've got to reach 6,000
You've got
people.
to get to, you've got to get hold of Waitrose as well, because that seems to be the
Yeah.
place where everyone in the town goes nowadays.
Yes, yeah.
So, you
And the
know,
wall.
you'll probably get more, if we had our meetings in Waitrose, it probably inundated.
Can I just say, other places are available, as they say,
I can see
on
us
BBC where they mustn't advertise.
I can see us have an official meeting in the Waitrose
But you're
coffee
absolutely
shop.
right. Yes, you're absolutely correct.
Because if
We
they,
should.
I mean, if you had a, I don't know, a table or something in Waitrose foyer, you know, you probably hit more people there
Yes.
than anywhere else in the town.
It's
Yes.
got massive footfall, hasn't it?
Absolutely, yes.
And probably people have.
And my wife will put one up in the gym.
I will.
Right. And a pile of them on the counter. Pick up. Okay, any more on that? If we've agreed and we've discussed and decided on how we're going to do that,
I simply know if I can be of any assistance.
do we need a proposition to say that because
I
we're going to
we've done
spend
it.
money,
Oh, well. Oh, yeah, do you want to,
propose that we,
do you want to say that in
No, I
something?
don't think
Yeah.
so. It's not. We've already said we were going to have a poster. haven't we?
yeah, so I think we've covered it
Yeah,
haven't
I
we, in the
think we have,
previous meetings. That's fine. We move on then to the last item under neighbourhood plan, and that is 24203 to review and the recently revised Oundle design statement. Before we look at that, I'd like to thank Councillor Hutton for the work that he's done on the design statement.
So just worth a few words to introduce?
Yeah,
I mean,
please do.
Thank you for acknowledging the work, but it really wasn't that significant. It was merely just a case of going in. There were a few formatting issues where words that had been written into the report didn't actually appear in the PDF version because the box wasn't sized correctly, so it disappeared, which is why the text didn't flow. So once I worked out what was going on and resized the boxes and jiggled things around a little bit, we got most of the words back. And then there was a small amount of editing done to reflect the fact that there wasn't a planned Waitrose, but there was a built Waitrose and a few other bits and pieces like that, but nothing very significant. There may well still be one or two factual errors in there. I mean, I'm not claiming I have total encyclopedic knowledge of everything that happens in the town, so there may be one or two bits that I'm outside my knowledge and I'm not quite correct, but I don't think there's anything significant. There is one paragraph that I didn't know what it meant, and I've left it in for now, but I would suggest maybe it needs taking out. On page 25, towards the bottom of the first column, there's a paragraph which reads, "There are a number of defunct and poorly maintained community buildings. Whilst unsightly and in need of attention, their scale and function should be maintained wherever possible." I'm not sure what that even referred to. I mean,
Where are they?
I wondered about the drill hall, which of course we don't own anymore.
I
And
guess that's what it was referring
Yeah.
to. And
Shouldn't be
because
there.
this draft started a very
Yeah,
long time
so in
ago,
2012, yeah.
nobody's actually
Yeah,
corrected
it
it.
shouldn't be there.
So-
I thought
I
that.
can't think of any other community buildings that you could describe as being in that.
so I would propose that I would remove that paragraph then, because it didn't mean anything to me either, but I didn't want to
Yeah.
remove the words as I, someone obviously thought it was relevant at some point. Now, the only other thing is there are references to appendices A and B. Now, I've only found one appendix, and it seems pretty complete, although there are again some formatting issues which I haven't sorted out yet. And I think there are two options really. One, I could go through and just tidy up the appendix a little bit, so there's some text in red for some reason, there's some question marks maybe in there. What I'll do is I'll just take out anything that doesn't read quite right. And we can add that appendix in as well. Clearly someone's done a lot of work to get it all into place, so it seems a shame not to use it, rather than just deleting it. Appendix B, I can't see. I don't know whether they were originally planned to be two appendices and it was all put into one or not. I don't
Is the
know.
B there?
Sorry?
Is the B there?
Yeah. No, there's a number of references. That's what I'm saying. There's a number of references to B in the main
Yeah.
document, but I don't have an appendix B.
No, I
I've not
see.
found one anywhere. So I would suggest I remove any references to appendixes A or B and just put the appendix, and then what we've got should be suitable, I think. So I'm not taking on a huge amount of work here. I've really just done a little bit of tidying up around the edges, but I'm happy to do that with the appendix as well. If you're happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and again, obviously, if people want to read through the document and highlight anything which is not quite factually correct, then obviously I'll make those changes as well if you can tell me. But
Would you just kindly mail it to me?
it was in the.
Yeah, I know it was. I mean, but with your adjustments.
Okay, yeah, I'll circulate it again once I've done it.
Have a go and send it to me, and I'll do a bit of proofreading for you.
I'll tidy it up again probably tomorrow or day after
I'll
the
put it on
latest, and I'll send it out and circulate it again to everyone. I think I circulated to everyone when I sent it out the first time.
Yep.
I haven't had any feedback, so I mean, it's not too daunting. It's quite an interesting read.
No.
So I learned some stuff when I was reading through it.
Just a point of interest, like page 37.
Yeah.
There, it's a C-map with this
Yeah.
further detail.
I might have missed the odd one where there isn't a map. Then
There's no map.
I shall take the words "see map" for the further detail that, then rather than adding it in. I don't think.
No, it's just jumped right out because
Yeah.
I was on that bottom page. I was like,
The maps don't reproduce terribly well, do they?
No.
Well, they can do. Depends what format you put them in.
I'm told that Mark Benz is doing quite a bit of work with maps at the moment, trying to get us maps to go in the plan and, if necessary, in this design statement as well.
And he's got some serious CAD equipment up there, so he can do all sorts of things.
Yeah, he's now looking at.
Yeah, he's doing the
Tidy.
policies
Yeah,
now.
so he
Yeah.
may well improve.
There might be a map that goes down.
Does it not refer to the map that's above that map?
Is that one? Is that how it?
It's in Zone 7, so
I recall there was a thrust from the neighbourhood plan to get the design statement to reflect the fact that Zone 6, I think, was the preferred area for commercial development. I'll ask Councillor Hutton if that's now reflected in the design statement.
It says, I mean, it talks about the fact that there is commercial development in that zone. I'm not sure that it says anything about it being an area for future development. Are you saying that there should be something to that?
I think that was going to be a position which the neighbourhood plan took. So it might, if the design statement reflects that as well, there'll be a glorious coming together.
A little bit of this.
Well, can I ask that people read through what it says say in Zone 6, and if you think it doesn't reflect what it should do, then let me know, and I'll propose some words.
Right. Have you had a copy of it, Roger? Have you had you got a copy? Yeah.
It maybe does need a little bit strengthening, just a bit.
Just on the top of the buildings, just that first paragraph on buildings in that section, work reads about. So.
And that's one of the bits I did have to adjust a little bit, because that's obviously where Waitrose is, so the words have been adjusted a little bit to say that the Waitrose was being built and opened.
May I just ask Roger, are you pretty unhappy with that? I mean, you did an enormous amount of work for quite some time.
Yeah,
Do you think it reasonably reflects?
I do. Thank you.
Smashing. Any more on the design statement? No other comments? No? Thank you very much for the work that you've done there. Moving on then to item 243, to receive information regarding injury claim and to agree action.
Can I suggest,
Yeah.
that in view of the nature of this, we actually ought to do this in closed session.
You may well be.
Could do, yeah.
Yeah.
Proposing it.
Yes.
Do I have a seconder for that proposal? Councillor Humphreys. Those in favour? Sorry to throw you out, Roger, but we are at the end anyway.
See you, Roger.
We're now back in open session, and we've got the doors open, and then I'll ask the clerk then to read that proposition and get you again to.
Right, so it's proposed that we speak to an insurance company and ask them to settle. Agree to settle.
Proposed by Councillor Hutton, seconder. Councillor Oakes.
Of course.
I second it already.
You second. Okay. Okay. And those in favour?
Don't bother again.
You've done it, Brad.
No one's in a different meeting.
No one's listened to you.
Different meeting.
Right. I'll go around the table then. Any other relevant matter for report? Councillor Chappell.
No.
Councillor Chester.
No.
Councillor Oakes, yes.
You have to
Councillor Hutton. Councillor Humphreys.
You'll have nothing.
He'll have nothing. Right, and I've nothing. So with that, we'll close the meeting at 7:57.
As a matter of
52.